asking.
Yeah, so today I know we're going to be talking, and we'll speak with Murray when he joins in, but his is a lot of it is just mindset, right? He knows how to navigate his system and what have you, but it's just, you know, when it comes to reaching out to those leads, and I guess creating your own objections, right? So I guess one he recently, and we can talk to him about it, was speaking to somebody that indicated they had an agent and their cousin was their agent. Their cousin was an agent. Didn't necessarily say that they were working or in contract with them, but then he's like, I don't know what to do now with this individual, right? So little things like that, which I'm sure many of you on here have your own encounters of different situations where you're not sure how to proceed, or if you should proceed. So if you guys do have any situations that you've encountered that you would benefit from some insight on, use the chat, use the Q&A, and Beverly would be happy to.
Yes. Is there any training on getting started with calls and how things are organized in your database?
Yes, Lisa. So that would be our CRM training. Let me just see if you already have somebody assigned to you, but yes, they do. We show you, we have filters in there. You likely already have them under your save filter, but sometimes they get overlooked. So it looks like, so you've reactivated, let's just see.
And Lisa, when you're asking that question, what is most important to you in the getting started process? Is it what to say to leads? Is it how to work the leads? How to organize the leads? What is really most important to you that would be that is the biggest thing holding you back from being successful, so to speak? This is where really our greatest conversations end up coming from, those impromptus. The improv. I did not pop out of my mother's womb loving to call leads, I can tell you that.
I think anyone was just like, yeah, this is what I meant for.
No, you have to acclimate to that. So Lisa, have you heard me before? I think for those of you that may be new to me, and even those of you that have heard me talk before, it definitely warrants a repeat just to refresh. When you are collecting leads and you're gathering data, it's just like opening a store and having the tractor trailers come with your stock to put onto your shelves for people to shop. So if you're really looking at your database from an organizational standpoint, always be thinking of your database as aisles in the store and the way that you shop with your shopping list. So our shopping list is our intention when we sit down to make the calls or send the emails or do text messaging. We have an intent. So our grocery list is our intent. Now, for those of you that shop like me, you can have the intent and still walk into a store and walk back and forth because the thing that you want wasn't in alphabetical order or wasn't in order based upon the aisle. So you got the whole way over to the ice cream and you realize you need noodles and you got to go back. So there are times that we may waste in the dashboard, just like we do in the store, but we're going in every time we open up that dashboard with an intention with our grocery list. So that is what helps with the efficiency of what we're doing. So in that organizational piece, if you think of your dashboard as two components, because the stores have the aisles that have the overhanging signs that tell you pretty much what's in the aisle. But within that aisle, there's tags and labels on the product, which is exactly what the way the CRM is built. When you look at your pipeline status, that is what's giving you where the lead is in the process. From the time that it's new coming in, trying to contact, contacted, appointment set, showing under contract and sold. So that's a way to organize the leads based on where they are from new to close. That way, when you go into that particular stage, you know exactly what you're looking for. Oh, try to contact. I've never talked to these people. I know what I need to say if I'm going to call this list. Contacted. If I'm contacting people, I want to make sure that I can identify them quickly by a tag or by a task. Because if not, they're the bananas that's stuck over with the laundry detergent and they get lost in the store, they get lost in the CRM. So every time we have a conversation with somebody, do they qualify as a task that we need to follow up with one by one? Or are they somebody that we want to stick in our inventory because they have an agent that it's their sister, or they're relocating, maybe they're waiting on a settlement check that never is going to come, they're retiring in the future. Whatever those situations are, we can tag them so that we don't lose them. The most annoying thing in a dashboard is seeing hundreds of leads, thousands of leads, and not having a way to identify them other than opening them up one by one. And that makes you want to poke out your eyeballs. So catching them out of the gate and creating those best practices initially is the most important piece, because then you have 500 leads, you look at your tags, everybody's contacted, you have 325 leads that are tagged, you have 100, the other ones are trying to contact, right? So all your leads are accounted for and properly set on the shelves of the grocery store. So if you're always mindful of thinking about what stage of the pipeline are they in and where are they organizational wise, tagged, or are they tasked, you're never ever going to lose a lead. And my motto is no lead left behind. So that organizational piece is one of the most important things. Now, I see that you used to put tasks on everyone. Yes. The reason I created the tagging system was to help prevent overtasking. Because at the point of overtasking, it becomes really not even worthwhile tasking because everybody's tasked, right? Think of your tasks as, this is my future business that I can count on in my pipeline. So if I were to ask you, Lisa, how many leads do you have in your pipeline of business for the next year? 8. Those are your people that if you do everything right, you can't control them talking to another agent, or you can't control them changing their mind or whatever. But if you do everything you need to do, you'll be sitting at a settlement table with them because you have now taken the reins and the control over working that lead. So in my mind, if you're taking up time on my calendar, because I am very, very specific with what goes on my calendar, if you're taking up time on my calendar, that means you've qualified for my time. Now, who's going to qualify for your time? Somebody that is in a rental situation that when their lease is going to be up, and they're either A, working on their credit, working on their down payment to get there. You want to continue to follow up with them. B, someone that is potentially relocating, someone that really needs to know the area, that wants to receive updates, that wants to keep an eye on what's happening with the market and trying to eliminate locations to get to really know it. And pricing versus their job, are they going to be able to afford to move here based on what their salary is going to be? They keep in touch with them. Anybody that is waiting for school to be up, anybody that may have just moved to the area and they're waiting 3, 4, 5 months or whatever, but someone that you have a really good conversation with and you've really created a good commodity in that first conversation, those are the people you want to task. And what I've changed in my practice, and I'm not going to say I've changed it, I've added it too, because I've seen the value in it. I used to be a snob. I really used to be a snob. I'm like, I ain't freaking chasing you. I have the conversation. You know who I am. Call me back. Well, that didn't work real well for me on my attempt to increase my conversion. So what I have been doing over the last several months is I have been chasing people. And it's really interesting to me, the things that I'm finding out. Let's say credit repair people. They're probably the most frustrating, but there's people that I have really good conversations with that I like. And another example, I have a guy that lives in Ohio. His daughter lives in Georgia. She's already fired one agent and she hates the agent she's working with now. Dad doesn't have all the control to say, hey, stop working and go with Beverly. But curious minds want to know how bad the agent really is. So dad is on my follow-up. I talked to dad initially. He told me the horror stories. I called it, that was like a Wednesday or Thursday. I called him back yesterday. Steve, how are things going with your daughter? He's like, oh, they put a contract on a house, 28 offers, Beverly. He goes, how do you compete with that? I said, well, did the agent do this? Were you able to find this out? Were you able to find this out? He's like, yeah, well, okay, this is what we found out. He's like, let me ask you a question, Bev. If dad went in and paid cash, I'm helping dad help his daughter. I talked to him for 20 minutes. It was a great conversation. What did I gain from that? I lost 20 minutes of my life, but may I get a client in the future? Maybe. Is there potential for a referral in the future? Yes. I'm helping a dad with his daughter with no strings attached whatsoever. Because if we go back to what are we supposed to be doing? Sitting at the settlement table. If we're not at the settlement table, we need to be in front of a client at the listing presentation or physically showing a property. If we're not there, we should be talking to a potential client. If we're not talking to a potential client, we need to be prospecting to find those potential clients to talk to. If we're not doing any of that, we need to be doing research on our target market, research on our market, knowing what our market is so that we can allocate, I don't even know if that's the right word, so that we can talk very clearly and purposefully about our market. So when we're looking at who we're tasking, it's those people that are going to help us. And I'm learning from him, 28 offers on a 325 house. He gave me the freaking address. So I'm also getting to learn the market through somebody else without me having to write the offer up against 28 ones, right? So task the people that are most important for you to have conversations with and tag the rest. So I kind of run on a 70-30 percentage. If I know I have a 70% chance or more of converting them and sitting at the settlement table, I task them. Anybody else, I put a tag on them. And I've been known, if someone's in a rental, I had a lady, she's in a rental until next August. But I had such a great conversation with her. I loved her. I'm not following up with her all that while. I set her up on a search and I set a reminder to follow up with her in like April to see if she was on for August. Just make sure when you're setting your tasks, you know your habits. Set them a few days before you want to actually make the call if it's very on point, so that you give yourself that time to remember that person, because you're looking at your tasks every day and go, oh, I cannot forget to call them in a couple of days, because days get away from us and we have tasks and we don't do them that day. Or set them a couple of times so you don't forget them. And just really be mindful of managing those tasks.
And Lisa, I did actually reach out or sent a message to your trainer, Jason, just to go over, because he likely went over some of your filters with you. But we do advance. So we start doing some for check-ins and follow-ups, and then which you can piggyback with tasks for those super, like, I can't forget to follow up with these people. But it's just really, again, moving people on the shelf, like Beverly says. You might put them on this shelf and then they move to this shelf, and then they might go back to this shelf, and then you got to move them down to this shelf. So it's really learning to navigate through the system. And once you kind of have your rhythm and groove, you'll be fine. It's just figuring that out, and everyone manages and works their database a little bit different, but ultimately organization is your best friend.
Yep. And make sure you ask Crystal for a copy of the tag list.
She has it, or she would have had it through Jason. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And that will help you ask better questions, because there's nothing worse than getting off the phone with somebody and not knowing where to put them. You're like, oh my God, like, where do I tag them? So I realized that the tags helped me ask better questions and go a little bit deeper, because I wanted to know what to do with them, because sometimes they're just looking, right? But why are you just looking? What has to happen for you to make that move? Because I want to qualify you a little bit more than just looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can add a situation to that. First time home buyer, retiring, whatever, like what has to happen. And it does really help you get better with your questions and conversations.
That one question is so powerful. You end up getting so much information from some of your leads, sometimes more than you actually bargained for. Yes. There's leads that are definitely open books and they don't even know who they're talking to. And you're like, wow. You just kind of lost for words with some of the things people tell you.
Yes. And then an hour later, you're like, oh my gosh. Okay, it's having that background and going, okay, I can be talking to you, but I'm going to do an email blast right now while you're talking, because I can't get another word in edgewise. So just think about, if you get someone on the phone, you can't get off the phone, what can you multitask? So that you're not losing that time, because it will happen. I always joke around whenever I call for my agents. I'm like, I took one for the team today. You're welcome very much. If you call them back, full disclosure, you better block out some time in your day.
Especially first part of COVID, it was like when you were calling people, it was like you couldn't get them off the phone. They were so desperate to have conversation with people. It was a great time to call leads, that's for sure.
Yeah. Probably the ones that get me the most are the disabled veterans. They're the ones that are home that really don't have much going on, and widower and widows.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are the three that keep me on the phone, because they're lonely.
I can see that.
And I can't hang up on them. This is sweet.
So it looks like we've got Mario who's joined us. How are you today, Mario?
Not by yourself.
Good. So I know you spoke with Jason with respect to getting you on board for the live dials today. He mentioned you have no problem navigating through your CRM system. Like, that's not the issue. So would you like to explain for everyone, kind of what you're encountering or perhaps struggling with a little bit with when it comes to your leads?
Well, I just got off the phone just before I got home, because I was speaking to a lead yesterday, and he actually has I told Jason, long story short, he actually has an agent in Toronto. So some of the leads that I'm getting, some have agents right now, so they're doing their own searches online. So this buyer sold the house in Toronto, but he actually used his cousin to sell his house, and so he was just kind of went on my website to look for homes. And I've kind of mentioned to him, I don't know if he has a legal obligation, because he doesn't know. He thought that he could just pick up the phone and call any agent to show a house, right? But he doesn't know the RICO rules. He doesn't know how that works. I mean, you got a lot, and I'm up in Barrie, so we got the debate between the Toronto agents and because some agents like to chase commission checks, and some agents come up here and they just say, well, just look at houses. If you see a house, let me know and I'll put an offer together, right? So he called me back and he said, well, I'm going to work with my cousin. I kind of knew that was going to happen, but he said he's gonna decide to. So his cousin's gonna kind of come up here and show him some houses probably this weekend or something. So
nice.
I had a few leads like that where they actually have agents, but they just go on websites, different websites to navigate the search, right?
Yep.
Beverly, how would you address the whole agents working outside of their typical region? How would you address that with a lead when it comes to, is your agent really acting in your best interest if they don't even know the neighborhoods of the community or the city that you're looking to buy in? And how would you approach that with a lead if it was a similar situation as someone coming into your area, wanting to look at houses, and their agent has no idea, but hey, go look at houses and then we'll put an offer in? How would you address that?
Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge Mario at the fact of, holy cow, the guy called you back and at least explained that he was going to be using his cousin.
Mhm.
That's huge.
Well, it is huge. I mean, obviously, it would have been nice for to get the business to kind of help him, but I mean, he's kind of devoted to his cousin.
How far is the market? What's the distance?
An hour-ish, 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Well, I mean, because the problem is, and I had this conversation with an agent with my brokerage. I mean, we're licensed in Ontario now. I know. I mean, we're provincially licensed agents in Ontario, but I mean, sometimes then we have different boards. We have Realtor. I think Realtor.ca is kind of a detriment to our industry, because you go to Realtor.ca, and I said half of the, and I said, but we have other boards. So Trump is the biggest one, but then we have my board in Barrie, where some of the listings that don't appear on Trump. So that's another issue too, where it's access to data, access to listings, right?
So what I would do, this is what I would do. I would still call the guy back. I'd be like,
well, you already spoke to him 5 minutes ago, so.
You don't have to call him back right now. Call him back like tonight, tomorrow morning, and just say to him, you know what, I've really been thinking about this, and I want to make sure that your agent has full access, because there could be a lot of properties that you're missing because of exactly what you're explaining to me. And say to him, would you mind, do you know who the agent is, Mario? Did he tell you who his cousin was? I would ask him, do you mind if I just give your cousin a call? And call the agent and work out a referral. Say, how can we make this a win-win so that he is completely protected and we make sure that he gets all the properties? Would you mind working out a referral? That's what I would do. Okay. And just explain to that buyer that we're in a completely different market. And I'm just concerned with the way offers are being written. Yeah. Agents are used to agents that are in my market. And we know the agents that are in our market. Yeah. So an agent coming in from out of town may not be able to work. I'm not saying he's not going to work in your best interest. I'm just saying that the market could be working against someone from out of town. And see if you can at least get a referral. Okay. So the only reason, and I get it a lot, I had 2 today.
And because I know that he signed a buy rep agreement with the buyer, and I know. That's because I know he's kind of into the conversation I had with him just before I got online was like, oh, my agent, he was just kind of, saying he's a hardworking agent. He's blah, blah, blah. Like he was kind of tooting his horn and stuff like that, saying he's a successful agent. He has access to all the listings. So, and
if he's not successful, he wouldn't be wanting to drive an hour out.
Well, no, I understand, but there are agents that do that. Unfortunately, and that's the dilemma we have right now. Because the market is shrunk now. My market in Barrie, there's probably less than 100 homes available on the market now. Yes. It's since the pandemic hit, the inventory levels are a lot. Although you got Toronto agents actually advertised up here now. You got a guy named Leo, a big Remax agent up in Toronto, and he says, well, we have Toronto buyers. Like he's actually putting billboards up in this area saying we have Toronto clients or Toronto buyers, so you got Toronto agents opened up offices here and they have clients there. So you got, and because we're so close to Toronto now, is the kind of pushing up in this area, right? So because obviously now the price of the home, the commission checks alone that the price has got 40%. So it's an incentive for Toronto agents to come up here because now a typical home is like $1 million in Barrie now. So I mean, the paycheck alone it's going to be worth their drive to come up here for like 2 hours, right? It's a big win for Toronto agents to come up here now because the payday is pretty big, right?
Well, and that's where, I mean, here's the thing. If he says no, you didn't lose anything because you didn't have it in the first place. It's worth a 5-minute conversation.
Of course, yeah, I'll give him a call back. At least he called me back. So those are some of the agents I've dealt with, and some leads. I mean, I've just started back, and I was telling Jason I started back in them. So some leads, I mean, it's kind of hit and miss. So some agents, some leads haven't really called me back, or some of them are just garbage leads. Some of them are so it just falling through. Some of it's just kind of a numbers game right now.
It is all a law of numbers. And where I say that game is in the consistency. Mm-hmm. When you look at the market at large of how the average agent is working their leads. And when I say average agent, I'm going to go on the high side and say 95% of the agents that are paying for leads only make one call attempt. The lead comes in, you make that speed to lead call attempt, you get another lead that comes in, another lead that comes in, and you're only communicating with the people that answer the phone out of the gate. Sometimes we see the text messaging that comes in. Yeah. Sometimes we respond, sometimes we don't, and we see it a week later. So the average agent is working their dashboard like that. So it doesn't take much to be a little bit better. So when you think about the consistency and the repetition, it's increasing your chances of that conversion of these people that don't answer their phone, of these people that don't call back.
Well, that's because I have some people I've had some people and they keep starting because I check the activity. So I have some people and I call, and like you told, I know saying to Jason, I'm kind of religious when I call people. I try to call them. I try to find different ways, different times to call them. I have one lady, she's looking for a bungalow in Barrie, but she said, don't call me, I'll call you when I find something. So I don't know if I should just wait and not call her because she's always kind of looking. I don't know if I should just wait. She's like, she sent me an email. She's like, so I changed her search for a specific home, but she says, don't call me. If I find something, I'll call you. But so that's why I'm kind of debating if I should just reach out to her or should just, because, I don't know if I should just hold off and not call her or just wait for her to come.
I still try to call just because if she's relying on technology to find that perfect home, Mario, there's 100 freaking homes on the market. If she's waiting on technology, what are the odds that she's going to be able to buy that property when she sees it?
Yeah. Or she's just kind of stalling. Maybe she's working because sometimes when motivation. I'm just kind of reading too because I know people. They might be working with other people too. Like they might have other.
That's all us thinking. That's all we're doing there is trying to pin the scenario because we have no idea what's going on.
We don't, and that's the thing. We don't know. You call people and you don't know. There's a few people, like I said. It's the people that I'm in contact right now. Some of them have agents, and some of them, I'm just trying to religiously follow up and try to get the backstory. Because some people, it's like pulling teeth right now. It's just trying to get more information from them.
So let's identify, because I think this is definitely one of the biggest objections that we're hitting always, but especially right now with the kind of market that we have. You have a lot more active buyers searching on other people's websites because of the lack of inventory. They're ready to buy, they're pre-approved, they want to buy. They don't believe that their agent is showing them everything that's on the market. They think they're missing something. So when people want to take action, they want to have control of making their move. They can't help themselves but to get online and look because they might find something their agent didn't find. So they're logging in everywhere. Now, we as agents all know there are a lot of properties that are on the market pending. Like the property is not available, but it's still showing, right?
Well, that's
They
the problem.
don't know that.
Because like the buy, and that people don't realize is that we have multiple boards in Ontario, and so if you're part of another board, you might not have access. You might put your client on your database, but they're not gonna get listings like we have listings up in my market, right? That's the problem.
So once we have an understanding of why people are doing what they're doing, we have to come from a solution mindset and be able to speak to what's going on with them, because we know they're frustrated, right? We know all buyers, their frustrations right now. Once we can identify with their problem, then we can start asking a few questions. So I have an agent. How long have you been looking? I want to know how much frustration you truly do have. If you just started looking a week ago, you're probably not willing to leave your agent. But if you've been looking for 8 or 9 months and you haven't found a property, I just have to ask Mario, before I get off the phone, I do not want to take business away from anybody. And I have no disrespect to your agent, but dang, everybody seems to have their real estate license anymore these days. The average person knows like 12 agents.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure, do you 100% trust that your agent is doing everything they can to not only find you the property, but position you to win when you're up against multiple offers? And stop. You're going to get, well, I did, but no, I don't. Okay. Again, I do not want to take business away from anybody. However, this is your future that you are talking about, that you're putting into someone's hands that hasn't been able to get you to where you're going. Tell me about your experience so far. How many homes have you written on? 4. What happened? We got outbid. What kind of financing are you doing? Da, da, da. Well, have you tried this? Because it's all about creative contract writing. Come across as adding value like they're your client. And then just simply ask them at the end. I do not want to take business away from anybody. That's not my intention. However, I would love the opportunity to earn your business if there is that opportunity. And they may say no right now, but they may say, is this your number? I'm going to save it just in case. Great. And Lisa, I'm going to go back to you. This is somebody that you put in your reminders to follow up next week and ask how their search is going. Because every agent drops the ball, even myself. So in these instances, we truly do want to earn their business. And what is the best way to earn someone's business? Value, care, show how much you care, ask them questions. We've closed 2 people in the last 2 months that had agents. Because they got frustrated with their agent. And I always ask them, do you have something signed with your agent? I do not want to obligate you to double commissions. The seller pays the commissions, but if you have something signed with that agent, I want to make sure that you're not obligated. And if they say no, that's on them. I ask the question. And I can tell you here in Georgia, most agents don't get it signed. Because we have a lot of boutique brokerages that do not require the exclusive agency to close a deal. Now, if they're with a Remax or with a Keller Williams independent, but we don't know because I'm not asking who the agent is. But it's just our responsibility to ask them if they do have anything signed. Now, if they haven't written an offer, the chances of them having an exclusive agency signed without having written it, that's usually when you slip it in, right? Oh, you're writing an offer. Okay, well, you now hired me to be your agent. But if they haven't written an offer, the chances of them having a signed buyer agent is very, very small. So just ask those questions. How long have you been looking? And I have to sleep at night. I just want to make sure that you are 100% protected, because I have seen and heard so many horror stories. Because truly, if you choose the wrong agent, it can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. It really can.
Yeah, because that's what happened with because it was the buyer that was dealing with us. He told me that he sold a house in Toronto, and he's like, Mario, this house, you need about, my home, you need about 400,000 just to renovate. He got like 900,000 on his home, but the agent that came in did a firm offer in Toronto, put with a firm condition. And he's like, and he goes, I'm surprised, because they came in with a firm offer, no inspection. He goes, you need about 400,000 or 500,000 just to fix my home. Like the underpinning, everything is completely gone in this home. And I said, that doesn't look good, because that agent who's representing that buyer for your home is going to be in deep trouble in the future.
Yep. Then that's what I'm saying. And that's what these people need to know when you're talking to leads.
Yeah.
That story.
And that's the market in Toronto. People come in with firm offers, no conditions, no inspections and stuff like that. And they're buying this home and they thought it was 90,000, but he said, you need at least for 400,000 just to fix my home. And he said, I just accepted the highest bid, and that's it, with no offers and no conditions on it.
Heck yeah.
And you know, that buyer agent is going to be, you might get in trouble in the future with RICO. So.
Well, that was always my issue in my market, right? I was out in the country, outside of the city, and we would have agents coming in from Washington, D.C., selling homes in our area, and they didn't even know there was a such thing as well and septic. Mm-hmm. They didn't even know that shit would go in ground. It was always public. They didn't understand well water. So they didn't understand the inspections to be able to properly educate the buyer that, hey, you don't have public sewage. You don't have public water. You have to deal with water being in the ground and making sure there's no bacteria in it. They had no idea.
That happens here or in Ontario as well. I was actually speaking to somebody a few weeks ago that works in like more of like cottage country, where everyone's on septic. And of course, the Toronto agents are trying to bring their buyers in there and had no idea what a septic system was. He's like, what is septic? What does that mean?
Yep.
And she's like, are you kidding me? So.
And there are some agents, I mean, that refuse. I mean, you can't refuse, but there's some agents up in the college area that won't work with those agents, because, you know, unless you want to refer, but because it comes down to commission now. People are just chasing commission checks because the prices have gone up so high, right?
And that's your value proposition talking to your lead.
But the thing is, you can't really bash. You have to be political how you say, but you can't.
You're telling a story. You have your own story, and now everybody in this webinar has your story. And that's where I use, and that's why when I was talking about, I think it was maybe before you jumped on, Mario, I was talking to the one gentleman that's in Ohio that his daughter's buying here in Atlanta and she's having a horrible experience. I'm learning from him her nightmare. That's becoming my story, because it doesn't matter where it happened or how it happened. What matters is telling the story, being able to tell another buyer, this is what's happened. This chick's out there on her second agent, blah, 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 whatever, right? And our last two of our offers, we just closed our seventh one since I started, 2 months ago. But two of our offers, one of them we were up against 17 and we won. And the other one we were up against 8 and we won. I don't write to lose. And I'm going to educate you. The one, we spent 2 hours with our client going over the comps to be able to properly position them and write and help them to understand you're not overpaying, blah, blah, blah. And that's what we do. Where most agents just write a blank offer And here's the reality, and you all can take the story and embellish your price range. But the agent, but the lead that we picked up, she was a lead that was coming in to look at other homes in that community that she looked at. The price was, I'm sorry, I'm in a low market compared to some of you in Canada. The price was listed at 325. And she told her agent, I don't want to lose this house. What do I have to do to win? She says, write it for 400,000. They wrote the offer for 400,000. I asked her, I'm having the conversation with her because she was a lead that came into my system. I said, please tell me you did an appraisal contingency. She says, I don't know what we signed. My husband signed it. I said, can you please pull up that contract and look? While I was talking to her, I was pulling comps. The most expensive one that sold in there 2 weeks prior was 350.
Mhm.
The agent said, write it at 400. She says, Bev, I can't find in the contract. I told her where to go. And she says, I don't think it's here. She says, can I send you the contract? Sure. I didn't ask her for it. She sent it to me. I said, you are not contingent on an appraisal. You are 20% conventional. I said, do you understand what you may have to come to the table with? And she says, no, I don't. So I explained to her, if it appraises at 340, her loan amount, she would have to come to the table with $60,000 more dollars. I said, are you okay with that? She said, no. I said, well, that's the contract you signed. She says, oh my God, what do I do? I said, I can't tell you what to do. You have an agent. But what I would do, I would withdraw my offer,
Mhm.
or I would modify my offer.
No,
Yeah.
it's difficult in our market. You can't. Yeah, in our market you can't, because if as soon as you sign the offer and it's a written obligation, you can't walk away from that offer. It's difficult. Like you can't just if you have an accepted offer, you can't just walk away with.
It was not accepted. It was in with multiple offers.
Oh, okay.
So it was in with multiple offers.
Okay.
And I told her, I said, I would modify it with an appraisal contingency, or I would cancel it.
Yeah.
So she modified it with an appraisal contingency. I called her the next day. I set a task to call her and say, hey, how did that offer go? She says, we modified it. They went at 360 with an appraisal contingency. And I helped her to understand. I said, you could go at 500,000 with an appraisal contingency. It doesn't matter, right? I called her then 2 days later. I said, what happened with the offer? She said, they didn't accept it. I said, do we now have the opportunity to earn your business? She said, yes. And then her husband was on speakerphone. And he said, I am so tired of this agent letting my wife do all the property searching and telling the agent what she wants to see.
Mhm.
So we sent her a batch of properties to go look at, and she didn't get back to us. I called her back the next day. I said, Huda, what happened? We sent you a bunch of properties. She said, well, she goes, the other agent sent me a house. And she goes, we're going to write on this one. I said, okay, cool. I said, I wish you the best, Huda. If you have any questions, you know I'm here. Called her back. No, she called me back. Bev, do we still have the opportunity to use you as our realtor? I said, Huda, what happened? She says, the agent got mad at me because I decided not to put the offer on it. And she told me I need to make up my mind and decide what I want. She said, so I don't want to work with her anymore. I said, okay. We had her under contract in 2 days. And we have referrals coming from her already because she was through a nightmare experience and was not educated in the process.
Mhm.
And she had an agent. And that's what I'm saying. We have to have such a place of passion to help people that's beyond the closing and getting the settlement.
Mhm.
It's literally saving these people from a horrific mistake, because so many agents are just having people write offers and they have no idea what they're doing. And they're not explaining waiving the home inspection. Make sure that the people understand what they're actually waiving and what they're agreeing to. Are you sure? Like, my job is to give you all the information for you to make an educated decision. But without all the information, you're just like, yes, ma'am, in it. Yeah, my job is to get you the house, but my job is also to protect you. It's difficult in this market to do both. But it's up to you to decide how you want to move forward. And Mario, that is what sets you apart when you're calling leads, is having those conversations and not being afraid to bring something up to somebody that says they have an agent. Oh, I have an agent. Let me just ask you. Oh my God, I've had so many nightmare stories, and I said, I just have to make sure that you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you feel they have your 100% back. And they're protected, because they have to understand there's multiple offers on properties. There's more than one way to write a contract. So those are my favorite conversations, and those are my favorite leads to convert, because they're in the process and they're the right now people. And I don't feel like I'm taking anybody from anything, anybody from anyone, wherever that phrase may be. I'm doing initially what the client always wanted in the first place. So when we're looking at our leads and we open up the dashboard and we may not want to make our phone calls today, and we go, oh my God, what if they're going with a Toronto agent and they're getting boned up the butt? I've got to save them. And when we're calling with those kind of intentions, it changes the game. Because the less we are attached to the outcome and the more we're attached to the process and the conversation, the better chances we have of winning, because the conversations are coming across as that we really care and is pure.
Okay.
We're not going to win every single one of them. I have learned some people enjoy the struggle. And if you overeducate them, sometimes it's too much knowledge in their head. But I will tell you this, I love working with buyers that respect our profession, respect our opinion, and respect how we teach them. The people I don't like are the people that make excuses, that want to see every single house in the MLS because they have difficulty being able to understand the room sizes based on the pictures in online. When I have to tell you to measure your room so that you know the size of your own room and be able to allocate that in another listing, because you're moving your furniture, right? So if the room size is the same or bigger, you know it's going to fit. If it's smaller and room sizes are important to you, we don't need to go see that house, and we're not going to go see that house. Yeah, but no. Who wants to work with that? So in my opinion, less is more, and like attracts like, and I want to attract the people that appreciate my conversations and appreciate what I'm trying to do for them. Because anything else can truly, truly be. Mario, how long have you been in the industry?
Well, 5 years now, so off and
Have
on.
you ever taken a listing or a buyer that you had a red flag and you're like, oh my gosh, I probably shouldn't take this buyer, but I can get it closed. I can work with them. And it was the biggest nightmare. And that at closing day, you're like, thank God they're gone. Have you ever done that?
I have.
We all have. Was it worth it?
No, not really, no.
Exactly, because they exhaust so much energy. They could have picked up somebody else.
Because in today's market, because we're in, especially my market, I mean, I think we have close to 1,200 agents in my market, just my market. I mean, in Toronto alone, you got 60,000. In Toronto, in that area, you got 60,000 agents. So I mean, majority of the agents probably don't do much business. So you got so many agents right now, so many agents, especially in my market. And you in Toronto, you got it's like a boatload of agents. So you got agents who are willing to to do anything to get business, right? Because it's all just, it's
That right there is your story.
yeah,
That's what your leads need to know.
it's feast over family, and that's the thing is you're just chasing a commission check. You're just chasing the next deal, right? Because it's just the market is shrunken a bit. Right?
Explain that, right? That's what you know. That's what I keep hearing you say. Tell your leads that.
Yeah.
Your leads need to know that. Even if they do not use you, Mario, you've done your due diligence. And if they have a bad experience, it's on them because you've done your job. If they choose to not use somebody that is going to protect their best interest and tell them to walk away from a home that might not be the best.
Yeah.
If they don't trust that and they go and have a bad experience, you're not going to know, but you don't care because that's on them. You did your job.
Okay.
And it comes back, right? It comes back full fold. The more people we help, the more that's coming back to us. And it may not be coming back dollar for dollar, time for time, but it will come back somewhere else as a reward.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, don't give up on the leads. You hit the nail on the head. It is truly a numbers game. We're not going to be able to convert every single one of them. Thank God, because how could we convert 50 a month? I mean, it wouldn't happen, right? The important piece of working a dashboard is being so mindful of the importance of building the pipeline, because that is what your CRM is truly intended for, is not to call a lead and acquire a client and go to closing. It's to have the conversation, know how to follow up, how to keep those systems so that you don't lose the lead in the process, and build that pipeline so that at the end of so if I asked you June of next year, how many leads do you have in your pipeline for the next year? How many do you think you're going to close? 8, 7, 6, 10. Because if I do everything I'm supposed to do with this lead, I'm going to close it. Now we can't change what they're doing, but so change the expectation of converting this into a buyer to building my pipeline of business over the course of the next year and years. Because this is like relationship marketing. Relationship marketing is slow moving. That's why none of us like to do it, because it doesn't happen fast enough. But this is just like relationship marketing. We meet somebody today, they know we're a realtor, but they may not be selling for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I was just talking to one of my coaching clients in Canada. In fact, he's huge on relationship marketing. And he is taking a listing. He bought 75 pumpkins and hand delivered 75 flipping pumpkins. And you all got it right in Canada, just saying, you have your Thanksgiving before you cut it up on Halloween. Like, we got it backwards here. We cut up our pumpkins, then we have Thanksgiving. It just makes no sense. But he bought 75 pumpkins. One of the ones he delivered was a lady he met 7 years ago. He sold a home. He to the neighbors, he went and hand delivered postcards to say that I sold this home. Just want to let you know who I was that sold the home. She was out in her garden gardening. Her husband had just passed away within like 6 months. He says, do me a favor, ma'am. Don't do anything for at least a year until you know what you want to do. She got pumpkins every freaking year. She just got her 7th pumpkin, and she's ready to move. 7 years. Oh my God, right? But building the pipeline. So every conversation, where are you going to be in my pipeline? Where are you going to be in my pipeline? But we only know that if we ask that question. I want the opportunity to earn your business. What can I do for you?
Okay.
Because then people don't know what to say. They're like, because nobody asked that question. And then ask them how they want to receive the follow-ups. How often would you like me to check in? And don't be offended if they don't answer the phone. I love when they don't answer the phone, because then I don't get stuck on the phone, because I just want to get through my tasks. And that was what I was going to say, Lisa. What I've added to my dialing and my systems is the follow-ups that I'm doing are way more intentional. I'm following up and leaving voicemails with a lot more people than I ever would have before. And what I love about it is 3, 4, 5 phone calls in, they'll pick up the phone. Beverly, I'm so sorry. I've been so crazy busy, but they know exactly who you are when you leave that voicemail. Sometimes I'll leave a voicemail and follow up with a text message. Hey, don't worry about calling me back. Just wanted you to know I was here. Hope you're having a super day. And so this last week, I've been setting reminders. I'm calling people right at Halloween. Hey, just want to say happy Halloween. And then Thanksgiving. Just want to check in and say happy Thanksgiving. Or I'll just shoot them a text, whichever. But it's just staying top of mind and keeping that pipeline going. And it's really crazy. And like Mario was saying earlier, it's so easy for us to think, oh, they have another agent, or oh, they already bought. I will tell you, the majority of the people that I follow up with have gotten so busy, they have not done anything. And that is more of what happens than what we have in our mind. And I've gotten past the point of not wanting to make this. I would literally, and this was just up until like 6 months ago. If I had somebody that I hadn't talked to, and I'm like, I'm not even going to call them. It's just going to be a waste of my time. Click. But I started calling them people because it's kind of like that testing process. I just want to see. And I was dead wrong. Most of these people didn't do anything. They're like, oh, Bev, I'm so glad you called me. I'm like, oh, really? Dang, I got lucky. So we are our own demise by the thoughts that we put in our head, because the only thing that we're thinking is what's happened in the past to us before, but it's not the reality. We only know the reality. And so if you play that little game of, let's just test this and see. I hope this lady answers the phone because I just want to know. And you'll be pleasantly surprised most of the time. So we just want it to happen faster than when it's happening. That's it. That's all it is. But you're doing all the right things.
I'm trying to, but no, you're just trying to convert. You're trying to build that relationship. So
it's telling your stories. You've got great stories and you've got valid points to get across to your leads.
So if someone is saying, because I was trying to convert, well, this lady was trying to rent, but she decided to, she wanted to rent, but I was telling them to get into the buying market, but she decided to rent for another year, because right now the rental market in my area is really expensive. So she says, well, right now I decided to rent, because do you think I should just follow up with her in another 6 months to see how she's doing then? Because she said, well, I don't need your help for now, because I was trying to get a backstory from her, and I was trying to give the pros and cons of buying over renting, because I said, because she wants to, the price point is almost the same. So do you think I should just probably in 6 months probably follow up with her and see how?
I would. When was that conversation?
It was probably a month ago, because she wanted to do something end of October, because I was showing her properties. So I don't know if she's found something to rent, because the rental market, you're looking almost like $3,000 to $4,000 a month now.
Call her and ask her what would, and this is where it's important to know what their current situation is.
Well, I do, because I know her. She's, she has a down payment. I have a mortgage broker that I could refer her to, because I said, if you have a decent down payment, you have the income, your credit score is good, you might be able to, because she wants to build equity. So when you may be able to build equity buying, because the market keeps going up. So if you're going to be renting, I kind of say the story. So you're either paying, you're paying a mortgage, you're either paying yourself, you're paying your own mortgage, you're paying someone else's mortgage. At the end of the day, you're still paying a mortgage.
So what I usually do with that is tell me what's most important to you. In the move, what is the most important thing for you to get out of? Why are you moving? Why would you go to a rental versus making a purchase? Instead of us assuming, ask them why. Because then solution, right? Listen for the problem and provide the solution.
Okay.
So she may say, well, I really need to get to know the area because I don't know the area yet, or I'm afraid of making that commitment, whatever they may say. But what I would not let that ball drop, because if she hasn't found a rental, she very well may buy. And it sounds to me that she's just kind of like dabbling and trying to figure out what she wants to do because she's not comfortable where she is. Something's prompting her to make a move, because if she could just wait 3 months, why not just wait 3 months and buy something versus getting into a full year lease? There's something else more going on with their current situation.
Of course.
So finding that out and coming in with a solution, or a couple. Well, if you would rent, this is what you'd be looking at, tax ramifications, blah, 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 blah. If you purchase, yeah, it might tap out your cash reserve. Is that it, right? So find out what the fears are and what the intention is. So the more questions we ask, the more we can help with different scenarios. But I have a renter that moved up here. She was one of my very first leads back in July. She moved up here and she's renting. I had a great conversation with her. They were moving up that weekend. And I called her like the next week. I said, hey, I just want to see how your move went. Left a message. So this was like end of July. We're in freaking October right now. I've left her a message every month since. I have not yet talked to her. We have a restaurant that's kind of near the area that she rented in. But I just left her a message. I said, oh my gosh. I said, I'm just checking in. I hope they moved out from Florida to Georgia. I said, I hope you're enjoying the season change and the fall weather. It's been beautiful here. Hope you got your pumpkins. Let me know if you've got any questions about the market. We'd love to see you at the restaurant if you want to stop by the restaurant. I don't know if she's listening to my voicemails. I have no flipping idea, but I don't care. It was less than a minute because I know next year she's going to be purchasing. So that lady, what I would do is, hey, I was thinking about you. I'm just checking in. Did you ever find a rental? She may say, nope, decide to stay where I'm at for right now.
Okay.
Find out. And if she rents something at Thanksgiving, give her a call and say, hey, I was thinking about you. Yeah, you're having Thanksgiving. Are you well, so your Thanksgiving's already past Christmas. Are you having family at your home? Is it somewhere else? What's it like having Christmas at a different place? Something, right? It just makes it personal. So when we find those reasons to follow up with people with intention, it makes a difference because they're like, oh my God, like you freaking called me. Because I don't know what this lady's going through. I know she moved, but I don't know if she hasn't answered the phone.
Okay.
So making sure that we're doing everything that we could be doing and just remembering we waste more time creating distractions than we do intentionally making phone calls like that. Because how quickly can we go to our Facebook and 10 minutes goes by? When we could make a few phone calls like that just to leave a voicemail. So just be very intentional. And, in those follow-ups, and Lisa, I'm going to go back to what I was saying before. You can set days to say, all right, Fridays are my least busiest day. I'm going to set all of my not so important tasks for my Friday. Or for this one particular day a month, I'm going to set these tasks and that's going to go on my calendar and that's what I'm going to do that day. I'm going to do all my follow-ups, all my check-ins on the people that are really far out that I just want to touch base with. And just mark it on your calendar. Then that way, on your calendar, you have those tasks to do for that day and treat it like a settlement. And be attached to the pipeline, not the appointment. And I promise you, it changes the game. Was that helpful today, Mario? I didn't get into your system. You have to come back on. You have to tell Kristen we have to come back on so we get in your system.
Yeah, I'll come back. Yeah, it was great because like I said, it gets frustrating. I mean, it gets frustrating because obviously it's been a quiet year for me, and like it's frustrating because I know you want to build relationships, but you still need to have closings too. Because I mean, you said about the person waiting. You can't wait. You can't be waiting 5 to 7, 10 years for one deal. Right? You still have to have deals in between. So you still have to kind of build for the future, but you still have to have people who are going to be working the next 60, 90, 120 days. So you still have to kind of work with those people, because building a relationship is great, but you still have to kind of make money and kind of pay the bills
That's where that consistency piece
It
comes
is,
in. And
it's
when we
great.
sit down and we look at what is the high level activities that I need to be doing today to earn business for tomorrow. Because we all know we wake up every day in this business unemployed unless you have a settlement today.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because obviously, because I mean, you're only good as your last paycheck, your last commission check. So I mean, because I know one agent told me like each time you're going for a listing appointment, it's, you know, you're kind of going like for a job interview each time so you're asking for a job each time. So if that's real estate, is asking for a job for each person you're talking to. It's like asking for a job. It's like being on a job interview for each person you talk to.
And so it's being intentional every day.
Yeah.
How many conversations am I going to have today that's going to help me for tomorrow?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what really sets the tone to make yourself get into your dashboard and say, I want to have 5 high quality conversations today. I promise if you make that a goal, it's going to change the game.
Okay.
One day at a time.
Yeah. Hopefully,
One
yes.
phone call at a time.
Okay.
But yeah, don't get frustrated. Just try to fall in love with the process.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, because it's always, like I said, it's all a numbers game. So you just have to kind of weed out the ones, and then kind of focus on the ones who are gonna, you know, make. Because some people are not gonna make, but you still want to follow up. I mean, you still want to follow up with. Even people are not gonna make a move, you still want to call them maybe for 6 months. Maybe things probably change, your life's changed, right?
Yep.
Your situation changes, so you still want to follow up with them, right?
Well, and that's where if you look back, right? If you made a phone call last February and they said their lease was going to be up in November, you got to right now call. But if you're not making those calls today, you don't know when someone's lease is going to be up or when someone's time frame is going to be up for that time frame to be the right now today.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's literally what we're doing today is what our future business is going to look like.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Crystal, is there anything
Awesome.
I know we went over?
No, everything. Yeah, there was no other additional questions, but I think we covered one big topic that I think affects a lot of individuals out there and their ability and capabilities of calling their leads, right? So some things immobile, create them immobile from doing it. So yeah, it's a great topic.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Always a pleasure.
Yes,
see you
and
in
we
a
will
couple
see you in a couple weeks. Awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye, Mario. Thank you so much.
Okay.